So my daughter calls me the other day in the middle of a school day, and then she says, I'm going to put my teacher on the line. So I'm thinking, okay.
Flashbacks to,
He,
James, I mean, you thought you were in trouble with the teacher.
yeah. Well, she said this was the teacher who drives the Hyundai Ioniq 6. And I
Yeah.
was behind him in a Tim Hortons drive-through line once, and I always drop my daughter off to school 3 days a week. So I see that car. I envy the car. It's not my ideal car, but it's better than what I have, so I envy it, and
Yeah.
it's a nice new.
A really nice electric car.
And yeah, his broke down, so she phoned me as if I had the answers. The host of the Clean Energy Show, the non-electrical engineer, non-automotive engineer, the regular guy that I am. But she was impressed with what I spat out. Did some quick research, and he was aware that there was some recalls. I think what had happened is that the cooling fluid, there's a cooling fluid loop to the motor, and it broke and leaked on something, an ICCU unit and its fuse, which is what has been being recalled. And when that happens, the 12-volt battery goes down. Now, you might think the 12-volt battery is not important, but without that, your car would
Yeah.
stop running if you think about it, if it just completely went dead. So that's a dangerous situation, which is why there's recall.
Yeah. Electric cars still have a traditional 12-volt battery, much like regular cars do, because that's just how usually the interior systems of the car
Yeah, the
will
computer
work.
system and the battery management system, everything's being controlled from that, not the 400 or 800 volts, 800 in this case, from the battery, or from the traction battery that moves the car, the big one. There's two different batteries. Yeah, so that I felt terrible for him. I feel like this is the guy that I criticized for not going to British Columbia last summer. He turned around in Moose Jaw an hour away and came back and got his combustion vehicle because he got nervous about
Got worried.
chargers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, Hyundai's on the supercharger access now, right? So
Yeah.
I've got my thing, and I'm starting to look at my trip to the West Coast this summer because my kid's out there. I've got a free lodging, so I figure I have to take advantage of free lodging
Yeah.
and spend a couple $100 in electricity or something to get there. And yeah, the Tesla network is making a difference. I can tell now that there are places that there's actually quite a few new Tesla charging networks showing up between here and, say, the British Columbia border, which
Oh, I
is,
didn't know that.
yeah, there's one or two, they make a difference. So, and then there's one that
Yeah.
I didn't realize was there in a town that didn't have, there's a couple places that didn't have much or any
Yeah.
non-Tesla chargers. So, that helps because that's a charging desert out there. So that's actually a place that is probably going to pay for my, if nothing else, it's peace of mind, but it'll pay for my adapter that I spent a couple $100 on to adapt
Yeah.
my non-Tesla car to the Tesla charging network. And it is more expensive, so I would avoid Tesla when possible, but it's also convenient because they're always there. And like I say, there's a lot of places that I go to that have two chargers. So do you want to take a chance that two chargers are full, or do you want to go to a Tesla with 8 and hope that they're not, think that there's a better chance? So, and I'll try and avoid a long weekend this year.
And something we didn't mention, so I haven't been to a Tesla charging station recently, but they've adopted a waiting queue system. This was reported a couple of weeks ago,
Right.
where if you get to a Tesla charger and it's full, you're going to get messages in your display about who's actually next because they can tell who was there first. Because I had that problem when I was in Calgary because there's they only had one charger
Right,
there
at
and
the
it was
time.
super busy, and people were coming in from both ends and sort of waiting there for a free charger. And then, well, how do you know who was there first? But yeah, now there's some sort of internal car kind of line system.
Well, I'm looking forward to that trip, but I'm a little disappointed in Hyundai and Kia for putting out these cars that apparently a lot of the Hyundai Ioniq 5s are needing work too. And I wasn't sure, but I said my friend, his car is working well because as far as I know it is.
Yeah.
So that gave him some reassurance. And I said, first model year issues are going to be a thing. So he's kind of jumped on one of the earlier ones that came out, the Ioniq 6. But it makes everybody look bad, Brian. It makes, his neighbors are going to say, aha, he's driving a loaner for, because there's a long time to get the parts too. And, then you lose confidence in your car and you wonder, well, is it going to break down if I take it on a trip? And I empathize with that. And I'm, it's not what we need. We need to get these cars right before, even if they are first year, get them right.
And of course, we've reported on other problems before, like the Chevy Bolts, like they had to have their batteries recalled. That was a huge deal. But overall, given, the massive switch in technology from gas to electric, the number of problems, it hasn't been too bad, I think, overall. But, when you get stuck with a problem like that, it certainly doesn't feel like that.
So a lot of these Kia and Hyundai cars, the dealers will inspect and replace the ICCU and its fuse as necessary. In addition, dealers will update the software for it, and all repairs are performed free of charge. But, you know, it's just sad, and I wish it doesn't happen. And I feel, I was put on the, me, the advocate of EVs, was put on the spot. He loves the car, he says, but it's 2 or 3 month wait for the parts. So he has a loaner from the dealer that is a combustion car, I believe.